Well, good morning, class. Happy Monday. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Hope it was full of rest and relaxation. This is Distance Learning 2, Week 3, Virtual ELA, created by yours truly, Mr. McMillan. And here we go. Let's get into our lesson. All right. Today's due now. Please write your update on your week and weekend on Google Classroom as an answer. We did this last week, and I loved being able to respond to all of your thoughts, your ideas, some of the things that you guys were doing, some of the things that you guys were changing. I love that. So please make sure that you add it on your answers, and I can respond to them. And you guys can always write me back, and I can respond back. That's how we keep in communication, okay? Because I truly want to respond to you. Oh my God, you see this dog right here? That's my little nephew. His name is Cooper. He is, I want to say, a mix of Cocker Spaniel and Golden Retriever. Cool dog, right? And let's make sure that you guys are using your time wisely when you're writing your do now. Okay? All right, let's get started. Vocabulary words of the week. Now, a lot of you guys were having a little bit of trouble getting the vocabulary words this week because you guys were trying to understand where should I write it. I've given you the link to the vocabulary words that allows you to click the Google link. It will direct you to a Google Word or Google Docs, and you could type it in the document in the boxes, search the pictures, post them there from online, and share them right back with me, and I will get them. If that's still a hard thing for you, just write it on a separate sheet of paper and take a picture, or just write it on a blank Google document. Okay? All right, let's get into our words. The first word is trinkets. Trinkets. A small ornament or item of jewelry that is of little value. Like you know how your grandparents, your grandma usually have a nightstand or a table full of trinkets. My grandmother would have a table where she would have all these like little earrings, little figurines, little things of makeup, little trinkets, small little ornaments or items that were like valuable to her. Next word is patio. Now, a patio, we all know what a patio is, and if you don't know what a patio is, it is okay. It is a paved outdoor area adjoining a house. So usually when you step outside your door, that little space in the front is the patio. Okay? Patio. Next word is riddle. A riddle is a question or statement intentionally phrased so as to require ingenuity, ingenuity in ascertaining its answer or meaning, typically presented as a game. So, pretty much, a riddle is a question or a statement that intentionally phrased to require some ingenuity. That was the proper word in assert. Sorry, I messed up. I completely like ruined this, y'all. As ascertaining its actual answer. So, a lot of times when someone has a riddle, they give you a question or a statement and they want you to find the answer. Like, okay, um, if you leave a comment below of a good riddle, I will give you an extra point on your vocabulary sheet. Okay? Give me a really good riddle for me to solve, and I will give you an extra point. Okay? All right, next word. Dilute. To make a liquid thinner or weaker by adding water or another solvent to it. For example, if someone has like juice or something and it's way too sweet, sometimes people might put water in it to make it a little thinner, to make it a little less sweet, diluting. Or if someone is making a dessert, right, and they're making the chocolate that goes on the cake, sometimes they might add a little water to dilute it because it's way too thick. So diluting. Reluctant. Reluctant is unwilling and hesitant or declined. It means unwilling to do something. He was reluctant to do what she asked him to. Reluctant. Resentful, feeling or expressing bitterness or indignation at having been treated unfairly. So if someone is frustrated or angry or bitter about being treated unfairly or being, disrespected, most of the times they're resentful. They're angry, they're frustrated, and they're like, you know what? I would never forgive you, or I just can't even look at you. Resentful. Miffed means to, or to miff, which means to annoy. Okay, when your little sister or little brothers are miffing you, they're annoying you. I remember when my little sister, whenever I would come home, she would come bang on the door or follow me around the house, or anytime I had food, she would crawl over to my plate and want to eat off my plate. Ugh, miffed, annoyed. I remember how annoyed I was. All right, everyone, it's time to read and annotate. We're going to read a story this week called Growing Up by Gary Soto. The story is a little bit longer than our normal stories we've been reading the past few weeks. But one thing I really want to give a shout out, I want to give a shout out to Vanity and a few other students that I saw that were doing their annotations by highlighting their annotations. This is not a thing that's required, but just by showing me, just shows me that you already know how to do it. A lot of times we are just saying, should we annotate? But annotating is really good for you. I think it's really good for you because it helps you understand certain parts of the stories that are specifically important. When we look at our reading strategy, in our reading strategy, specifically the one that focuses on determining an importance, that helps us understand what the important things of the text and helps us figure out what we should exactly look for. Okay, so I'm asking that if you are reading, I strongly suggest that you are annotating just to help you get through the process. Okay, all right, let's take a look at our story today. Growing Up by Gary Soto. Gotta make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. I'm actually not using my own personal computer today. 9 pages. Gary Soto, Growing Up. Now that Maria was a 10th grader, she felt so. Sorry, from the top. Now that Maria was a 10th grader, she felt she was too grown to have to go on family vacation. Last year, family had driven 300 miles to see their uncle in West Covina. There was nothing to do. The days were hot, with yellow skies thick with smog they could feel on their fingertips. They played cards and watched game shows on television. After the first 4 days of doing nothing while the grown-ups sat around talking, the kids finally got to go to Disneyland. Disneyland stood tall with castles of bright flags. The Matterhorn had wild dips and curves that took your breath away if you closed your eyes and screamed. The Pirates of the Caribbean didn't scare anyone, but it was fun anyway. And so were the teacups. And It's a Small World. The parents spoiled the kids, giving each of them $5 to spend on trinkets. I wish it cost that much now. It doesn't cost that much now in Disneyland. Maria's younger sister Irma bought a Pinocchio coloring book and a candy bracelet. Her brothers, Rudy and John, spent their money on candy that made their teeth blue. Maria saved her money. She knew everything was overpriced, like the Mickey Mouse balloons you could get for a fraction of the price in Fresno. Of course, the balloon at Hanlon's supermarket didn't have a Mickey Mouse face on it, but it would bounce and float and eventually pop like any other balloon. Maria folded her $5, tucked it in her red purse, and went on rides until she got sick. After that, she sat on a bench, jealously watching other teenage girls who seemed much better dressed than she was. She felt stricken by poverty. Everyone, you guys know what poverty is, right? Remember that word. All the screaming kids and nice clothes probably came from homes with swimming pools in their backyard, she thought. Yes, her father was a foreman at a paper mill. And yes, she had a doughboy swimming pool in her backyard. But still, things were not the same. She had felt poor in her sundress, which seemed snappy in Fresno, but was out of style at Disneyland, where every other kid was wearing Esprit shirts and Guess jeans. This year, Maria's family planned to visit an uncle in San Jose. Her father promised to take them to Great America, but she knew that the grown-ups would sit around talking for days before they remembered the kids and finally got up and did something. They would have to wait until the last day before they could go to Great America. It wasn't worth the boredom. I used to go to Great America when I was growing up. That's in the Bay Area. Dad, I'm not going this year, Maria said to her father. He sat at the table with the newspaper in front of him. What do you mean? He said, slowly looking up. He thought a moment and said, when I was a kid, we didn't have money for vacations. I would have been happy to go with my father. I know, I know. You've said that 100 times, she snapped. What did you say? He said, pushing his newspaper aside. Everything went quiet. Maria could hear the hum of the refrigerator and her brothers out in the front yard, arguing over a popsicle stick, and her mother in the backyard watering the strip of grass that ran along the patio. Her father's eyes locked on her with a dark stare. Maria had seen the stare before. She pleaded in her soft daughterly voice, "We never do anything. It's boring. Don't you understand?" "No, I don't understand. I work all year, and if I want to go on vacation, then I go. And my family goes too." Sorry. He took a swallow of ice water and glared. You have it so easy," he continued. "In Chichoa, my town, we worked hard. We worked even in Los Chavalos, and you showed respect to your parents, something you haven't learned." Here it comes, Maria thought. Stories about his childhood in Mexico. She wanted to stuff her ears with wads of paper to keep from hearing him. She could recite his stories word for word. He wouldn't wait until she was in college and away from them. "Do you know my father worked in the mines? That he nearly lost his life and today his lungs are bad?" He pounded his chest with hard, dirt pressed knuckles. Maria pushed back her hair and looked out the window at her brothers running around in the front yard. She couldn't stand it anymore. She got up and walked away. And when he yelled at her to come back, she ignored him. She locked herself in her bedroom and tried to read 17. Thought she could hear her father complaining to her mother, who had come in when she had heard the yelling. Okay, y'all, please forgive my Spanish, okay? "Habla con tu moscosa," she heard him say. She heard the refrigerator door open. He was probably getting a beer or a cold one, as he would say. She flipped through the pages of her magazine and stopped at Levi's ad or a girl about her age walking between two happy looking guys on the beach. She wished she was that girl, that she had another life. She turned the page and thought, "I bet you he gets drunk and drives her crazy tomorrow." Maria's mother, sorry, went too early. Maria's mother was putting away a pitcher of Kool Aid and the boys had left out. She looked at her husband, who was fumbling with a wad of napkins. His eyes were dark and his thoughts were on Mexico, where a father was respected and his word, right or wrong, was final. "Rafael, she's growing up. She's a teenager. She talks like that, but she still loves you." "Sure. And that's how she shows her love? By talking back to her father?" He rubbed the back of his neck and turned his head, trying to make the stiffness go away. He knew it was true. But he was the man of the house, and no daughter of his was going to tell him what to do. Instead, it was his wife, Eva, who told him what to do. "Let the girl stay. She's a big now. She don't want to go on rides no more. She can stay with her and Nina." Father drank his beer and argued, but eventually agreed to let her stay. The family rose just got after the family rose just got after 6 the next day and was ready to go by 7:30. Maria stayed in her room. She wanted to apologize to her father, but she couldn't. She knew that if she did, if she said, "Dad, I'm sorry," she would break into tears. Her father wanted to come into her room and say, "Well, we'll do something really special on this vacation. Come with us, honey." But it was hard for him to show his emotions around his children, especially when he tried to make up to them. The mother kissed Maria. "Maria, I want you to clean the house, and then walk over to Nina's. I want no monkey business while we're gone. Do you hear me?" "See, Mama, here's the key. You water the plants inside and turn on the sprinkler every couple of days." She handed Maria the key and hugged her. "You be good. Now come say goodbye to your father." Reluctantly, she walked out in her robe to the front yard and, looking down at the ground, said goodbye to the garden house at his feet. After they left, Maria lounged in her pajamas, listening to the radio and thumbing through magazines. Then she got up, fixed herself a bowl of Cocoa Puffs, and watched American Bandstand. Her dream was to dance on the show, to look at the camera, smile, and let everyone in Fresno see that she could have a good time too. But an ill feeling stirred inside her. She felt awful about arguing with her father. She felt bad for her mother and two brothers who could have spent the next 3 hours in the car with him. Maybe he would do something crazy like crash the car on purpose to get back at her or fall asleep and run in the car into an irrigation ditch, and it would be her fault. She turned the radio into the news station. She listened for half an hour, but most of the news was about warships in the Persian Gulf and a tornado in Texas. There was no mention of her family. Maria began to calm down because, after all, her father was really nice beneath his gruffness. She dressed slowly, made some swishes with her broom in the kitchen, and let the hose run in the flower bed while she painted her toenails with her mother's polish. Afterwards, she called her friend Becky to tell her that her parents had let her stay home when that she was free for 5 days at least. Great, Becky said. I wish my mom and dad would go away and let me stay by myself. No, I have to stay with my godmother. She made a mental note to give her Nina a call. Becky, let's go to the mall and check out the boys. All right, I'll be over pretty soon. Maria called her Nina, who said it was okay for her to go shopping, but to be at her house for dinner time by 6. After hanging up, Maria took off her jeans and t shirt and changed into a dress. She went through her mother's closet to borrow a pair of shoes and drenched her wrists in Charlie perfume. She put on a coral pink lipstick and smudged a blue eyeshadow. She felt beautiful, although a little subconscious. She took off some of the lipstick and ran water over her wrist to dilute the fragrance. While she walked the 4 blocks to Becky's house, she beamed happiness until she passed the man who was on his knees pulling weeds from the flower bed. At his side, a radio reporting the traffic accident. A big red overturned after hitting a car near Salinas, 20 miles from San Jose. A wave of fear ran through her. Maybe it was them. Her smile disappeared. Her shoulders slouched. For it couldn't be, she thought. Salinas is not that close to San Jose. Then again, maybe her father wanted to travel through Salinas between because pretty it was a pretty valley with wide plains and oak trees and horses and cows that stared as you passed them in your speeding car. But maybe it did happen. Maybe they got in an awful wreck. By the time she got to Becky's house, she was riddled with guilt, since it was she who would have disturbed her father and made him crash. Hi, she said to Becky, trying to look cheerful. You look terrific, Maria, Becky said. Mom, look at Maria. Come aside for a bit. Maria blushed when Becky's mother said she looked gorgeous. She didn't know what to do except stare at the carpet and say, Thank you, Mrs. Ledesma. Becky's mother gave them a ride to the mall, but they'd have to take the bus back. The girls first went to Macy's, where they hunted for a sweater, something flashy but not too flashy. Then they left to have a Coke and sit by the fountain under the artificial tree. They watched the people walk by, especially the boys, who they agreed were dumb but cute nevertheless. They went to the Gap, where they tried on some skirts and ventured into the Limited, where they walked up and down the aisles, breathing in rich smells of 100% wool and silk. They were about to leave when Maria heard once again on someone's portable radio that a family had been killed in an auto accident near Salinas. Maria stopped smiling for a moment and she pictured her family's overturned Malibu station wagon. Becky sensed something was wrong and asked, How come you're so quiet? Maria forced a smile. Oh, nothing. I was just thinking. About what? Maria thought quickly. Oh, I think I left the water on at home. This could have been true, Maria remembering pulling the hose from the flower bed, but couldn't remember if she turned the water off. Afterward, they rode the bus home with nothing to show for their 3 hours of shopping except for a small bag of Seeds candy. But had been it had been a good day. 2 boys had followed them, joking and flirting, and they flirted back. The girls gave them made up telephone numbers and then turned away and laughed in their hands. They're fools, Becky said, but cute. Maria left Becky when they got off the bus and started off to her Nina's house. Then she remembered that garden hose might still be running at home. She hurried home, clip clopping clumsily in her mother's shoes. The garden hose was rolled nearly against the trellis. Maria decided to check the mail and went inside. When she pushed the door open in the living room, gave off a quietness she had never heard before. Usually the TV was on. Her younger brothers and sisters were playing, and her mother could be heard in the kitchen. When the telephone rang, Maria jumped. She kicked off her shoes and ran to the telephone and picked up the receiver, only to hear a distant clicking sound. Hello? Hello? Maria's heart began to thump. Her mind went wild with possibilities. An accident, she thought. There's an accident, and it's my fault. Who is it? Dad? Mom? She hung up and looked around the room. The clock on the television set and glowed 5:15. She gathered the mail, changed into jeans, and left her Nina's house with a shopping bag containing her nightie and a toothbrush. Her Nina was happy to see her. She took Maria's head in her hands and gave it a loud kiss. Dinner is almost ready, she said, gently pulling her inside. Oh, good, Maria. Oh, good, Becky. And I only had a popcorn for lunch. They had a quiet evening together. After dinner, they sat on the porch watching the stars. Maria wanted to ask her Nina if she had heard from her parents. She wanted to know if the police had called to report that they had gotten into an accident. But she just sat on the porch, swing, letting anxiety eat a hole in her soul. The family was gone for days. 4 days. Maria prayed for them, prayed that she would not wake up to a phone call saying that their car had been found in a ditch. She made a list that she could be nicer to them, doing the dishes without being asked, watering the lawn, hugging her father after work, and playing with her younger brother, even if it bored her to tears. At night, Maria worried herself sick, listening to the radio for news of an accident. She thought of her uncle, Shorty, who and how he fell asleep and crashed his car in a small town of Madada. He lived confined to a motorized wheelchair and scared off with burns on the left side of his face. Oh, please, don't let anything like that happen to them, she prayed. In the morning, she could barely look at the newspaper. She feared that if she unfolded it, the front page would feature a story about a family from Fresno who had flown off the roller coaster at Great America, or that a shark had attacked them as they bobbed happily among the white tipped waves. Something awful is going to happen, she said to herself as she poured Rice Krispies into a bowl. But nothing happened. Her family returned home, dark from lying on the beach and full of great stories about Santa Cruz Boardwalk in Great America and the Egyptian Museum. They had done more this year than in their previous vacations. Oh, we had fun, her mother said, pounding sand from her shoes before entering the house. Her father gave her a tight hug as her brothers ran by, dark from hours of swimming. Maria stared at the floor, miffed. How dare they have so much fun? While she worried herself sick about them, they splashed in waves, stayed at Great America until nightfall, and eaten all kinds of restaurants. They even went shopping for fall school clothes. Feeling resentful as Johnny described a ride that dropped straight down and through your stomach into your mouth, Maria turned away and went off into her bedroom, where she kicked off her shoes and thumbed through the 17. Her family was alive and obnoxious as ever. She took back all the promises. From now on, she would keep to herself and ignore them when they asked. Maria, would you help me? She would pretend not to hear and walk away. They're heartless, she muttered. Here I am worrying about them. And there they are having fun. She thought of rides they had gone on, the hours of body surfing, the handsome boys she didn't get to see, the restaurants and the museum. Her eyes filled with tears. For the first time in years, she hugged the doll, the one her grandmother, Lupe, had stitched together for rags of old clothes. Something's wrong with me, she cried softly. She turned on her radio and heard about the single engine plane and that had crashed in Cupertino. Oh. She turned on her radio and heard about the single engine plane that crashed in Cupertino, a city not far from San Jose. She thought of the plane and the people inside, how the pilot's family would suffer. She hugged her doll. Something was happening to her, and it might be that she was growing up. When the news ended and the song started playing, she got up and washed her face without looking in the mirror. That night, her family went out for Chinese food. Although her brothers fooled around, cracked jokes, and spilled a soda, she was happy. She ate a lot. And when her fortune cookie said, "You are mature and sensible," she had to agree. And her father and mother did too. The family drove home singing the words of La Bamba along with the car radio. All right, and that is our story. And now let's take a look at our analysis. So we're going to do something different this week where we're going to answer the analysis questions and then we're going to write a paragraph combining all of those things together. All right. So write what you believe is the central idea, write your schemas and how would you connect to the text, and then write two quotes from the story that will go perfectly along with your central idea. Okay. So you're going to write what you believe is the central idea, write what your schemas are, and how you can connect with the text, and add two quotes from the story that would go perfectly along with the central idea. Now you're going to format the analysis into a paragraph, usually 6 to 8 sentences. In the paragraph, it should contain the central idea, which is usually your first sentence. All right. The main idea, the central idea. What is the main idea of the story? Explain that. Then introduce obviously one quote and then explain that quote, and then give your second quote and then explain that quote, and then add your schemas and how you connect to the story. It can be easily done. Your first sentence could be your central idea. Your second sentence could be introducing the quote. Your third sentence could be that quote. Fourth sentence could be explanation. The fifth sentence could be the new quote. The sixth sentence could be the explanation, and the seventh and the eighth sentence could obviously be your schemas. You can do this, okay? If you have any questions on how to do this, I would suggest that you tune into office hours with me at 10 a.m. I'm going to be doing office hours at 10 a.m. from now on. So office hours will be at 10 a.m. every Monday and Wednesday, and I will check in with you guys and we will go over the writing piece. So what I will do during office hours, I'm going to take this down, and in office hours, I will go over and I will go over the writing examples. Okay. So I'll say the central idea of the story. Oh, why am I typing so bad? Growing up by Gary Soto. Yes, dot, 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 and I'll go on and we'll walk through it. Okay, and that's what we'll do during office hours at 10 a.m. So please show up to office hours. I hope to see you there. All right. Remember that you are going to answer all of these questions, and your responses are going to go inside of your Google Forms, and then the do now will be answered as a question. All right. Thank you. Have a good Monday.